America is racing to contain the spread of coronavirus. Here's how the pandemic changed the country this week. America is coming to a halt while authorities race to slow down the spread of the novel coronavirus. The normally bustling streets of New York City and San Francisco are eerily quiet, with only a few people walking or taking the subway. And that sight is quickly replicating across the United States. Millions of people stayed home to avoid contracting or spreading the virus, as reported cases grew from a few thousands to more than 18,000. Dining room tables and iron boards have turned into home offices, empty grocery store shelves became usual, and unemployment became a reality for many. Last week, President Donald Trump declared a national health emergency, which was followed by school closures, sports event cancellations, and panic buying. Here's how this pandemic transformed the country this week. Sunday, March 15. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention urged that all gatherings of 50 or more people were canceled or postponed for the next 8 weeks. 2020 primaries. Democratic presidential candidates Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders stood 6 feet apart, per CDC guidelines, during the CNN Univision Democratic presidential debate in Washington, and bumped elbow bumps instead of shaking each other's hands. Monday, March 16. Americans were no longer asked to avoid their favorite places, as they started to have no other option. The White House advised the public to avoid groups of more than 10 people. The states. When COVID-19 cases reached 178 in New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy ordered a voluntary statewide curfew from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. in an effort to keep people at home. On the same day, New Jersey joined efforts with New York and Connecticut to keep casinos, gyms, and movie theaters closed until further notice. Restaurants in numerous states started closing their dining rooms and only offered takeout or delivery. Schools. Just as millions of K-12 and college students started transitioning to online instruction, officials in some states announced that students will actually have to stay home for the rest of the school year. Tuesday, March 17. Several San Francisco Bay Area counties issued a shelter-in-place mandate, affecting about 7 million people. The U.S. reached bleak milestones in the coronavirus outbreak. West Virginia became the 50th state to report a case, and the death toll hit 100 nationwide. The state's almost 7 million people and Northern California residents began sheltering in place under health officials' orders. 2020 primaries. Democratic primary voters in Florida, Illinois, and Arizona experienced last-minute changes amid efforts to keep polling sites open. But other states postponed their primaries. Polls in Ohio were closed to avoid the imminent threat of COVID-19 exposure, state health officials said. Major retailers began shutting down, pledging to pay their workers in the coming weeks. Millions of restaurant workers in states such as California, Kentucky, Connecticut, and New York were left without jobs. Wednesday, March 18. The United States and Canada suspend non-essential travel between the two countries due to the coronavirus pandemic, President Donald Trump announced Wednesday. A report obtained by CNN showed the Trump administration is contingency planning for a pandemic that could stretch up to 18 months or longer. Medical supplies are scarce. Many communities began grappling with shortages of medical equipment, forcing workers to sew masks together or create face shields from marine-grade vinyl, industrial tape, foam, and elastic. Thursday, March 19. More tests, more cases. The number of coronavirus topped 13,000 on Thursday, as more people were tested due to an increased flow of testing kits. Stay-at-home orders. California Governor Gavin Newsom issued a statewide order telling residents to stay home. Most of the state's 40 million residents should not leave home, except for essentials like food, prescriptions, healthcare, and commuting to jobs considered crucial. A record number of Americans filed unemployment claims. Goldman Sachs economists said they expect that 2.25 million Americans filed for their first week of unemployment benefits this week, 8 times the number of people who filed last week and the highest level on record. Friday, March 20. The Trump administration is limiting non-essential travel between the U.S.-Mexico border by midnight. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans must now sequester. New York, Connecticut, and Illinois all joined California on Friday in ordering all non-essential employees to remain at home in order to slow the spread of the coronavirus. Students will be able to suspend their federal student loan payments without penalty and without accruing interest for at least 60 days, the Department of Education said. Click subscribe to receive the latest news.